The Xbox Ally X is finally here. So in today's video, I'm going to unbox it, go over my initial impressions, and look at some specs between the Xbox Ally X and look at the specs on the original Ally X because the difference is somewhat surprising. Now, I do want to point out a few things. This is the first week of release. Actually, the Xbox Ally X officially releases on Friday. So there are going to be some changes to the software, and we're going to get better performance out of this machine over time. But I just wanted to see with Geekbench what it looks like out of the box. I've also so far played Fortnite, Call of Duty, and Battlefield 6 on this, and it handled all three really great. I haven't seen a huge performance difference from the Ally X, but there are some things on this unit that just really surprised me that definitely do make it a worthy upgrade from the Ally X. So let's jump into it. So here it is, the Xbox Ally X. Now, I actually partnered with Asus for this release, and I'll go over in a future video why I'm covering a gaming handheld PC, because there's more to it than just gaming. There's a lot to do with video production. But let's open this thing up and see what comes inside. So in the lid, it looks like there's a little stand. One of these came with the Ally X, the original one, if I remember as well. And then here we have the Xbox. It's got a little cover right here. We'll bring that here. And there we go. Nice fingerprint already on the machine. Let's turn on. Have any power? And then I will plug this bad boy in so I can start using it. So it comes with almost an identical 65-watt charger to the original ROG Ally X. Makes sense. I'm actually going to leave it in here for if in case I need it one day, since I already have the Ally X one. So let's see what's in here. It's like manuals, warranty card. All right, put that back. So there it is. Here's the ROG Ally X. I'm going to go plug this bad boy in and let's get to work. So far, I've downloaded Steam, the Epic Store, and EA Play. Now, EA Play seems to not actually be compatible, at least at this time, with the actual Xbox UI, so it doesn't show up. I'll pull up the Games tab right here. It doesn't show up in the My App section. Right now, we're only getting the Steam Store. We're getting Ubisoft, and we're getting GOG Galaxy, which I do have, but I didn't install it yet. And then the Epic Game Store Battle.net. I don't use Battle.net, but on the Epic Game Store, I put on Fortnite. On Steam, I put on Call of Duty. And then I did install Battlefield 6, and I installed the EA Play app, but at least right now, for whatever reason, it's not showing up in the Xbox. But I'm assuming it will because it shows up in the Xbox part of the original Ally X. Now let's talk about some of the specs. Now I'm going to pull up my specs right here and I'll show on the screen as well. So when it comes to these numbers, we're going to look at the CPU first. The higher the number, the better the score. So when it comes to the Xbox Ally X, for single core, it's got a score of 2790, so 2790. And that's comparable in the Mac world to something like the M2 chip. The original Ally X has a score of 2489, so 2489. So when it comes to percentage-wise, that's really only about an 11% difference in performance of single core on the Xbox Ally X compared to the original Ally X. Now, when it comes to the multi-score, that's where it's interesting because it's actually less of a difference. The multi-score on the Xbox Ally X is 12,767, while the original Ally X is 11,755. So there's only an 8% difference from the Ally X to the Xbox Ally X, which was very interesting. The next value we're going to look at is the difference in the GPU. So the Xbox Ally X got a score of 42,130, where the original ROG Ally got a score of 37,172. And so that's going to be around a 12% difference. So as you see, percentage-wise, we're not seeing a huge difference in actual performance specs of the original Ally X to the Xbox Ally X. So when you look at that performance data, it looks a little underwhelming because there's not a huge difference percentage-wise from the Xbox Ally X from the original Ally X. But that's a little deceiving because that's not where this thing completely excels. The Z2 Extreme chip is actually much better power consumption wise than the original Z1 chip on the original Ally X. And that is a huge deal. A great example is last night I played Fortnite on this machine, not connected to power, for over 2 hours, and I still had almost 40% power left, which is a huge deal because normally when I'm on the Ally X, when I'm around 2 hour mark, it's pretty much done at that point. So that shows off the bat in performance mode on this that this chip handles the actual power consumption way better with the same size battery. And that's going to be a big deal for anyone who's gaming on the go, because what I've realized is if you're using this as a desktop, which that should be a secondary use, it's not really going to make a huge difference between the original Ally X and the Xbox Ally X, especially because you can go get an external GPU, and then that's going to get an even better score than these internal GPUs on these machines. But if you're using it as a handheld device, specifically on the go, you are going to get enough better battery life performance in performance mode on the Xbox Ally X that it's probably worth the difference to go ahead and just pick up an Xbox Ally X over the original Ally X. Now, I'm going to be doing more content on the Xbox Ally X, especially showing how to use this as a DIT media offloading machine. Basically, is the fact that I bring this thing on set, hook it up to an external monitor, external keyboard, and use it to offload the media from my cameras, like my RED Komodo, my Sony cameras, whatever, and use this device instead of bringing my Apple computer like I normally do. I normally bring a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air, but lately I've been bringing my original Ally X with a MacBook on all of my trips. And I think the last trip I did that I was kind of like, I need to figure out how to use the Ally X instead of bringing a MacBook Air 2 was when I went to Rome. When I flew to Rome, I used the Ally X a lot on the plane and late night in the hotel rooms, and I didn't really use a computer during the day, but I did need a computer to offload footage from my Osmo Pocket, my cameras, and I could have done that with the Ally X. And that was, like I said, the trip that made me realize I need to just put this thing together so I could bring it on trips and just bring one computer. Now, I'm also going to do some videos on editing because since there is a little bit better GPU performance, CPU performance, this is equivalent to around an M2 MacBook Air, Mac Mini. Those computers can handle editing pretty decently. There are some sacrifices you have to make, and I'm sure there's some sacrifices that we're going to have to make on this device in order to edit things like RED RAW or any of these high-end codecs. I don't plan on making this my main laptop for editing. That's not the point of this. The point of this is that it can edit in DaVinci Resolve. You can use it to offload files. And if you are a gamer and you're a filmmaker, content creator, someone who uses cameras a lot, and at that point you're going to be using computers a lot, you can do a lot of that in the field and just bring this one device if you're a gamer so you can game and have a laptop all in one device. So make sure to stay tuned if you're interested in hearing about some of this content. I am super stoked with the Xbox Ally X, and it's definitely very interesting. That all being said, I know I didn't cover things like the handles and some other really important specs, but I want to have this in my hands for a while. I want to do somewhat of a long-term review on this, maybe in a month from now, 2 months from now. I want to be able to put it through the ringer and see how this thing handles and also see what some of the software updates do, if it increases performance at all, because the big thing with this new Xbox Ally X that's going to come to the old Ally X and some of the other handhelds is the fact that this has a new Xbox shell, and by using this Xbox shell, I know we're in Windows 11 right now, but actually ports into the Xbox operating system. So we'll port it, looks like this, and you don't have to use Windows 11. And the cool part about this whole thing is it saves some RAM, which will give you better performance. And then when you go into Windows 11, it's just going to work normally like a Windows 11 machine. So there's a lot to unpack here with the Xbox Ally X. So if you have any questions, anything you want to see me talk about in my full review, I mean, I've used these things to live stream, do things that they are not designed for, and they work really well. So if you have anything you want to see me test, talk about, make sure to let me know in the comments below. And if you got knowledge and value out of today's video, please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to keep up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Until next time, my name is Fagien. Thank you for joining me as always, and I'll catch you in the next video.